Po' Boy Special here with
Chris.
and we're going to do a tabletop comparison of the See All Nite Sight with
The Trijicon RMR.
coming right up. Now the See All Nite Sight is a revolutionary new product from the See All Open Sight company in that now it is tritium lit. Unlike the previous original version that is not. Now in low light to no light situations, you can see this.
Absolutely, and you know, they really listened to us on this. We gave them some feedback from the last review. And one of the things that we noticed about the original See All, which by the way is still extremely viable as a sight system. I mean, this thing's still
Absolutely
amazing, and it's totally out of the box. The only thing you can compare a See All sight to is
a See All sight because it's in a class all by itself.
It truly is. It truly is. There's nothing else you can compare it to. They share functionality with other sight systems, but really this is all that there is to compare it to. And so when we did our original review, what we noticed was that without an ambient light source over the top of the sight, basically the collector wasn't able to collect any light, so you couldn't see the sight anymore. Now back then we made a remark that if you can't see your target, you shouldn't be shooting at it anyway.
Exactly. And what that meant to us was if you were in a home protection situation or maybe law enforcement, something to that effect, and you had your See All sight on your weapon and a flashlight or some light mounted to it, it was no good for the sight because the sight was not collecting any of that light that the flashlight was projecting because it was not on the sight.
So you could see the target, but you couldn't see your sight system.
Exactly. But with the tritium lit sight, that problem is done away with, and I give them kudos for recognizing
it's fantastic. I mean, it really is a fantastic way of solving this problem.
And at the same time, just like the original, in daylight, the ambient light collection is awesome, and it glows awesome. I mean, it's very bright.
It truly is. It truly is. Without being eye-hurting or causing any star formations out of like a red dot or something, it really does just give you a crisp, clear picture in the brightest of sunlight.
Now, comparing it to
the Trijicon RMR. Now, this was a loaner from 22 Plinkster, and it's a fantastic red dot. Matter of fact, I would say on a scale of red dots, this is pretty close to being number 10. You know, the highest level of red dot you can possibly get your hands on. These things are phenomenal. They're built ruggedly. They're just amazing. And we're going to do a little comparison over the features and the specs of the Trijicon versus the See All Nite Sight.
All right, let's cover some of the specs and compare the two. First, the See All Nite Sight is 2.6 ounces in weight as compared to...
Well, this has 1.2 ounces in weight for the Trijicon RMR. That's without any mounting system. The mounting system adds a lot of weight to it. It really does. And I think so does the mounting system for the See All Nite Sight as well. From what I can tell on this, it's about a wash between the two systems. It really is, depending on how you mount these things to your weapons.
All right, now the dimensions for the See All Nite Sight is 2.62 by 1 by 1.
Okay, and for the Trijicon RMR, it is 1.78 inches long and about 1 3/8 inches tall, and that's without the mounting system. Again, I'm not counting in the mounting system because it depends on how you put it on there, right? But that's about how tall it is. And this is larger looking than the See All Nite Sight. There's good reason for that, and we'll cover that here in a few minutes, but it's not necessarily a weakness of the RMR. It's just a feature at this point.
Now the See All Nite Sight has a crosshair as compared to
a red dot, which has a red dot. Yeah. And this particular Trijicon, and all smart Ellison's aside, is a 1 MOA. That means it's 1 inch at 100 yards. That's what it covers. So it's a very, very fine red dot, which is exactly what you would expect from 22 Plinkster, as he is a, sharpshooter.
Yeah, good point.
He needs the smallest reticle possible.
So let's keep in mind the purpose here. The See All Nite Sight is a 21st century version of the iron sight.
That's pretty good. Did you just come up with that on
I
your
just
own?
came, it was right out it came.
Or maybe it was Joe the cameraman that came up with that one. Either way, I think that's the best way of putting it I've ever heard. It's a 21st century updated version of the iron sight.
Absolutely.
So we've got all these different backup iron sights running around, and this actually is a replacement for those. And you really should, if you're looking for backup iron sights, you really should look at this as a possibility for replacing your iron sights.
Especially on an AR-15 that has the originals with the little peep sight and the front little pin for the front sight. And usually they're black, and usually the target that you're shooting at is black, and it's really hard to see. But with this, especially tritium lit, man, it shows up clear as day, and it eliminates that problem altogether.
And so instead of having multiple backups for closer range work, like there's a lot of folks that mount the RMRs on their scopes so that they can have a red dot sight for up close and personal work, that we could actually replace two birds with one stone. So you still, anytime you put a red dot on there, you still have to have backup iron sights.
Yes.
So you put a red dot and backup iron sights. This actually comes in to where it replaces both the red dot and the backup iron sight for up close personal work, if you can practice at it and feel proficient at using that.
Absolutely. So what's the purpose of the Trijicon?
I'm so glad you asked. The Trijicon it's a red dot. Okay, so it literally is an optic. It's got an optical plane of glass in the front of it, and it truly is an optic. And it's for fast target acquisition. It's called reflex sight sometimes, and maximum visibility. So we were talking about how this is slightly larger than the See All sight is, and that adds that maximum visibility there. Like I said, it's not really a weakness of the sight. It really is a feature of it, and so that's what that's for.
All right, let me go over some of the weaknesses of the See All Nite Sight. First, when people use it for the first time, when they're looking through it, they make the comment that I can't see anything below the sight. And I don't know if you'd really call it a weakness or not, because it's the same with an iron sight.
Absolutely, and I've got a solution for that.
Use both eyes.
Yeah, really, really. And if you haven't started using both eyes open when you use iron sights on, especially on a pistol, you need to really look into doing that, because it really does open up your peripheral vision and lets you make it safer. It's just a better way of shooting with a pistol.
And the second thing is, because it is tritium lit, obviously tritium does have a life expectancy of about 12 years.
Yeah, thereabout, yeah.
And number 3, if you get any type of mud or debris inside any of these crevices or holes, you're not going to be able to see it.
No, not at all.
But I don't know if that's really a weakness, because you can say that about any sight, really.
That's pretty much the way it is, yeah.
However, there is one slight thing I'd like to point out to this for the next weakness. In very, 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 very low light to no light situations, if you have this on, say, a rifle or a pistol, and you have it down at the low ready position, there is a very, very slight light bleed of the light that you can see from the top. You can't see it if it's pointed at you, but you can see it from the top. However, it's only at very close proximities.
Okay, so you have to be pretty close to the sight to be able to see the bleed of light, and it has to be where you can see the top of the sight as well.
Absolutely, exactly.
Okay.
All right, so what are some of the weaknesses that you consider of the Trijicon?
Okay, well, the Trijicon, first of all, the top weakness of the sight system is the price, and we're going to get to that a little bit later, but remember when I said earlier that Trijicon was very proud of their product.
Very proud.
Very proud of their product, and we're going to get to that a little bit later, but the price is definitely a weakness on this. And the next one, I have to say this, it is less rugged than the See All Nite Sight. Now that's a Trijicon. I know I'm going to get a lot of hate mail on this one that says the Trijicon is the most rugged thing out there on the planet. It is for its class of system, okay? But compared to this, there's no way. There's no electronics to break on this. There's really nothing that can go wrong except it can get dirty. That's basically it. You can run over with a car and there's no problem with it whatsoever. And considering how much this costs, I dare anybody to prove me wrong, because nobody wants to break one of these things.
Yeah.
They cost too much to just throw away. So, I do think that it is less rugged than the See All Nite Sight. That is not necessarily a complete negative, and I'm going to get to that later in the strengths of this thing as well. Okay.
Very good.
I've got a note here that says, "Get mud in it, I dare you." It's the same as that. If you get mud inside the holes in this thing and prevent the light from emitting to the glass, or you get mud in front of the glass, you're not going to see the red dot. It's the same as that. Again, I think it's got the same weakness as this, but it's also got the same strength as this, and we're going to cover that here in just a moment. And it's got a 4-year battery life. Everybody who's watched me on Po' Boy Special knows I hate batteries. Okay, if you can get away from batteries, get away from batteries, because they stink. They're just ways to fail when you most need whatever piece of equipment that you've got. And so this can become a dead battery holder. Although it does say 4-year battery life at level 4 of 8. Okay, so
if at half strength, it has a battery life of 4 years.
That's horrible. But wait a second, because I'm going to get back to the strength here in just a moment. Okay. Anyway, that's what we saw as the weaknesses for the Trijicon RMR.
All right, awesome. All right, so let's go over some of the positives or strengths of both of these. First of all, with the See All Nite Sight, this is very easily cleaned. If you get anything on it, dunk it in water. And I mean, it's so easy. There's nothing to go wrong. There's nothing to go bad. There's nothing to short circuit. I mean, it's just
water's not going to hurt that thing. You can go down with the Titanic and pull it back up, and it's fine. Yeah, I agree with that. There's no way water can hurt that thing.
And if and or when eventually, after many years, the tritium lit goes bad, you still have something that draws in all the ambient light, and it's still usable, just not in no to very, very low light situation.
But if the situation gets so bad that we can't replace a tritium element, probably you're not going to get batteries for your flashlight anyway. And we're back to, if you can't see it, don't shoot at it, right?
Absolutely. But it is usable even if the tritium goes out.
Yes.
And also, this is virtually indestructible. If you take this and run over it with a car, you can still use it.
Yeah, I wouldn't put it in a vise.
But no,
I think pressing it in a vise is a bad idea. But besides, I don't know any other way to break this thing except for maybe taking a blowtorch to it.
Exactly. Another thing is, it is faster target acquisition than iron sights. Absolutely, hands down, without a doubt.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, once you get used to this and practice just a little bit, the target acquisition for this is actually fairly quick.
Yeah, it really is.
Fairly easy, and it's no comparison to iron sights.
Even though it is an iron sight replacement from the 21st century.
That's right. Another strength is, as we mentioned before, with the original See All Sight, if you had a flashlight mounted on your weapon, that flashlight did absolutely no good for the light that the sight needs for you to see it. With the tritium lit, you can see it with or without a flashlight. The flashlight is irregardless now. You will always see the sight with the tritium lit sight.
So like tritium iron sights allowing you to see in dark to near dark situations, this does the exact same thing. So
absolutely.
It replaces that, or it actually eliminates the danger of not being able to see your sight picture in low light situations.
Exactly.
Okay.
And this is very inexpensive to put on multiple platforms.
That's a big deal. Now why?
Because if you wanted to put this on, say, your Glock or any other pistol, and then your AR-15, and then your shotgun, not a problem. Or your crossbow, not a problem.
We've got a video on that.
Yes, we do. You can put this on all three of those platforms, and you don't have to get used to a different sight, because you've got the same one on each one, and you're used to each one, and you're good to go. Good as gold.
Absolutely, and that is important. If you can get used to one sight picture and get really, really proficient, like master level at one sight picture between platforms of weapon systems, oh my gosh, I can only imagine what that would do for even a 3-gun shooter. somebody who does competition, that would probably really help them out as well.
Absolutely. So let's go over some of the strengths now of the Trijicon.
Okay. Now, this one's going to sound familiar. It's easily cleaned. If you get mud into this, like what we were talking about earlier, you can just take this and dunk it into anything. Trijicon does a great job with these. These are rugged. They're strong. They're able to take a beating, and they're able to take water. I don't think it'd go down with the Titanic like that one would. I wouldn't try that. But on the flip side, any stream, any puddle, any swimming pool, or even just under the water tap is not going to hurt this thing. And so if you do get dirt in it, just stick it in some water and wash it out, and I'm sure it'll be just as good as new as it dries out. It's not going to hurt the electronics on that. It's got a 4-year battery life at level 4. Now, remember how I said that was a weakness because I personally hate batteries. It's also a major strength. You can leave this thing on, pick it up, and have it good to go for up to 4 years at the medium level. That means for home defense, for self-defense situations. For most situations, I'm sure level 4 is a great setting to have it on. And at that point in time, guess what, guys? You've got an always-on sight, very similar to the See All Nite Sight. Okay, the only thing is, every 4 years, I recommend every one, by the way, every one, but every 4 years you will have to replace the battery on that thing. Again, I personally hate batteries, but if you got to have one, 4 years is pretty darn good. Okay, so that's a strength as well as a weakness in my personal opinion. It's more rugged than just about any other small red dot on the market. So you know how I said that I didn't think that it was as rugged as the See All Sight? It's more rugged than anything else. Okay, so this is in a class by itself, and then we've got the RMRs, which are extremely strong. They can just take a beating. Trijicon knows how to make an optic. We all know this. Our military's been using them for years. They know how to make an optic. They don't skimp on any materials. They don't skimp on the engineering or the technology behind these things. And you can really tell it in the build and in the quality. They will last a long time and they'll take a beating. It's got a manually adjustable brightness, meaning that if you don't like how bright the dot is, if it's too bright and it's washing out your target, you can drop the brightness down. If it's not bright enough because of ambient light sources, you can increase the brightness as you see fit. Okay, and that's definitely a plus on this. And one of the reasons why this is such a popular Trijicon RMR is because of that feature, because it gives you control over how bright that red dot is. And if you look at like the Military Arms channel and 22 Plinkster and a bunch of other channels that are out there on the internet that do reviews on just the RMRs, you'll find out that they choose a version of the RMR that's similar to this one, not the kind that is like automatically adjustable or something. That they want the manual adjustment settings when they shoot a lot. Okay, full visibility of target with less obstruction from this sight. It's better than iron sights and the See All Sight. In other words, see that big friendly window in there? That's important. When you look through it, you can see the target, you can see above the target, you can see below the target, you can see to the left and to the right. Remember how we talked about the See All Sight, that you couldn't see under it? Well, this one you can. And that's the joy of a red dot scope, is that you can see the full target, especially at any distance whatsoever. It's safer that way. You can see what's going on. And it makes it very, very easy to acquire and to hit the specific target that you're trying to hit. Now, again, both eyes open, especially on a pistol. Both of these can be mounted on pistols easily. Keep both eyes open, practice like that, you'll get good at it, and that will alleviate a lot of that problem. However, just by the very nature of a red dot, it does remove a lot of that situation to begin with, right? And then last but not least can be used with flashlight in low light environments, same as the See All. It's got its own illumination. If you illuminate the target, you can see the red dot on the target and you can take your shot as needed.
And one more thing I'd like to add, in that the See All Nite Sight, you don't have anything to make it brighter or make it dimmer. You're not taking any time to push buttons.
No.
Whereas on that, if you want it brighter or less bright, you have to actually physically push the buttons.
Yes, you do. It does have an automatic setting, but as a general rule, if you want manual control over it, you have to take manual control over it, yes.
So this may save a little bit of time in that you don't have any buttons to push or anything to think about. It's just there ready to go, as opposed to that kind of platform.
But again, in the Trijicon defense, it can be always on for up to 4 years, which is that's a huge deal. That really is a big deal.
All right, so let's go over price. Here we go.
Yeah, here it is. Here it is, guys.
For the See All Nite Sight, I can take and buy 3 of them, put one on my pistol, put one on my shotgun, and put one on my rifle for the same cost as buying one Trijicon.
Say it ain't so, po' boy.
It's so.
Okay, so what's the price that you're talking about for that?
So the See All Nite Sight is around $200.
All right.
And the price for the Trijicon?
Do you remember when we discussed pride in product?
Yeah,
well,
they
they're
thought
very
highly of their
They're
product.
very proud of this, and for good reason. Honestly, for good reason. It's a fantastic product, but it is somewhere starting at $600 and working its way up. And that's Optics Planet as of today. That's 10/9/2016. So $600 and up on that one.
So there you go. That's the difference between the two.
Yeah, they're kind of proud of it. But I think that the moral of the story is that if you have a need for something like this, you're not going to have a need for it across multiple platforms. It's going to be for a very specific weapon system, like a pistol or an AR-15 on a Trijicon scope for the AR-15. You're not going to buy 6 or 7 of these things running around, or even 3 for that matter. Whereas the See All Nite Sight or the See All Open Sight, which, by the way, this is less than $100 on the See All Open Sight.
Yes, absolutely.
And so if you don't need the tritium insert, you can still pick up the original See All Open Sight for a fraction of what it's worth, in my personal opinion. I mean, these things, like I said, indestructible. They have tons of ambient light. We've got plenty of videos out on
Yes.
The internet regarding this as well. And this is still viable, guys. It's
Very.
still a good sight. There's no reason
Very.
not to get it if that will do for you. But the See All Nite Sight is, hands over tails, the best iron sight replacement system I have ever seen. I mean, it's really fantastic.
And very affordable.
Very affordable, especially if you compare it to something that's less affordable.
That's the truth.
Yeah, so.
All right, so what are our final thoughts about this? First of all, one big kudos, made in good old US of A.
Go USA.
Awesome. Can't say anything more proud about that. And like we said before, this is good over multiple platforms. Once you practice with it just a little bit, you have very quick target acquisition. Price point, excellent. It's well within most people's price range or budget, and is very, very, very durable, very dependable, and it is good for that. Like I said, the tritium light is good up to 12 years. Can't beat it. Those are my final thoughts on it. And what do you say?
Well, I've got this long paragraph that I'm not going to read, but they're both made in the USA. So this is like pro-USA product day. Yeah, I'm really excited about that. It's not really a fair comparison to compare the See All Nite Sight with a red dot system like the Trijicon, because the See All really is an iron sight replacement. The Trijicon is a red dot. It's totally different technology. One's an optic, the other is not.
That's right.
And I think that if you keep that in mind, that when you start looking to compare what you actually need out of a sight system, you'll be set. Now, for me, I'd trust my life with either one of these. I think they're both excellent. I know that there's a lot of folks out there today that trust their lives with the Trijicon right now. I know that the See All Nite Sights will become more and more prevalent in the marketplace as well. And I think that trusting your life with either one of these is fine. They both take practice. Guys, I've never picked up a pistol with a red dot and thought, ooh, look how easy it is to find. No, the first time I look through it, I'm always struggling to find the red dot. Then finally I get the angle that I'm supposed to be holding the pistol at, which is the proper angle to begin with, by the way. But it always takes time to get used to a new targeting system like this, right? So you've got to take time to practice with it and master your sight picture, master what you're doing with the sight system that you're using. just so happens to See All, you can put it on multiple platforms and master it easier because you can practice your multiple platforms and still see the same side picture.
And I also forgot to mention that it is parallax free.
Oh, it definitely is parallax free and eye relief, unlimited eye relief on both of them as well. Although the See All, the further away it is, the bigger that the actual
reticle.
crosshair or reticle gets.
Yes.
And the red dot's not like that. So, I mean, the absolute final thoughts would be this one right here.
As always, you saw it here on the Po' Boy Special Channel. See you all later.
Oh my God.